Introduction: selecting a relevant and impactful topic for your SLR. The journey of writing a high-quality systematic literature review, or SLR, begins with a critical first step. This step is selecting a relevant and impactful research topic. The chosen topic serves as the foundation upon which your entire review will be built. A well-chosen topic not only captures the interest of your readers, but also contributes meaningfully to the existing body of knowledge within your field. It is essential to invest considerable time and effort in this initial phase. This diligence will ensure that your SLR addresses a pertinent issue. It will also enhance its potential for publication in a Q1 international journal, a significant achievement for any research scholar aiming for wide dissemination and impact. Identifying research gaps is a crucial skill in selecting a compelling SLR topic. Research gaps represent unanswered questions or unresolved problems in your field. You can uncover these gaps by thoroughly reviewing existing literature, including recent publications, meta-analyses, and seminal works. Pay close attention to the limitations and future research sections of published articles. These often highlight areas requiring further investigation. Another effective strategy is to attend conferences and webinars. Engaging with peers and experts can provide insights into emerging trends and overlooked areas. Remember, a research gap is not merely an area with few studies, it is an area where more knowledge is demonstrably needed to advance theory or practice. Ensuring the relevance and potential impact of your chosen topic is paramount for a successful SLR. Ask yourself several critical questions during this process. Is the topic currently of interest to researchers, practitioners, and policymakers in your field? Does addressing this topic have the potential to lead to new understandings, improved practices, or policy changes? Consider the scope of your topic carefully. A topic that is too broad may be unmanageable, while a topic that is too narrow might not yield enough literature or have sufficient impact. Strive for a balance that allows for a comprehensive review while still offering focused insights. The timeliness of the topic also matters. Addressing contemporary issues can heighten your SLR's relevance. An initial exploratory literature search is an indispensable part of topic selection. This preliminary search helps you gauge the volume and nature of existing research related to your potential topic. Use broad keywords in major academic databases such as Web of Science, Scopus, PubMed, or PsycInfo. The results will indicate if there is sufficient literature to conduct an SLR. It will also reveal if the area is already oversaturated with reviews. This initial exploration can also help you refine your research questions and define the boundaries of your review. Documenting this early search process, even informally, can be beneficial as you move towards a more systematic search later in the process, though. Crafting a compelling abstract and powerful introduction. A strong abstract is the gateway to your SLR. It is often the first and sometimes only part of your paper that potential readers will see. Therefore, it must be concise, comprehensive, and captivating. An effective abstract typically includes several key elements. These are the background or context of the research problem. It also includes the main objectives or research questions of your SLR. You should briefly state the methods used for the literature search, study selection, and data analysis. Summarize the most important findings or results. Finally, conclude with the principal conclusions and implications of your review. Each element should be presented clearly and succinctly, usually within a word limit of 200 to 300 words, depending on journal guidelines. Consider this example of a well-written abstract for an SLR background. The integration of artificial intelligence in K-12 education is rapidly increasing, yet a comprehensive understanding of its impact on student learning outcomes remains fragmented. Objectives: this systematic literature review aimed to synthesize existing empirical evidence on the effects of AI-driven educational tools on student engagement and academic performance in K-12 settings. Methods: a systematic search of 5 major academic databases from 2015 to 2025 was conducted, adhering to PRISMA guidelines. Studies were screened based on predefined inclusion criteria, resulting in the selection of 45 peer-reviewed articles. Thematic analysis was employed to synthesize the findings. Results: the review revealed predominantly positive impacts of AI tools on student engagement and mathematics achievement. However, effects on other subjects were less consistent. Key challenges identified include ethical concerns and the digital divide. Conclusions AI holds significant promise for K-12 education, but careful implementation and further research into equitable access and long-term impacts are crucial. This example clearly outlines all essential components effectively. The introduction of your SLR sets the stage for the entire paper. It must be powerful and persuasive. It should clearly articulate the importance of your chosen topic. Begin by providing a broad context for the research problem. Gradually narrow the focus to the specific issue your SLR addresses. Use recent statistics or compelling examples to highlight the problem's significance. The introduction should logically lead the reader to understand why this particular SLR is necessary. It should demonstrate your thorough understanding of the field and the specific gap your review intends to fill. This section needs to engage the reader from the outset, encouraging them to delve deeper into your work. Clearly stating your research questions and objectives is a cornerstone of a robust introduction. These elements provide direction and focus for your SLR. Research questions should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and time-bound, or SMART, or at least clear and well-defined. For instance, instead of "what is the role of AI in healthcare?" A better question would be, what are the documented impacts of AI-powered diagnostic tools on patient outcomes in oncology between 2020 and 2025? The objectives should directly correspond to these questions, outlining what your SLR aims to achieve. Conclude the introduction by briefly outlining the scope of your review and its potential contributions to theory, practice, or policy, thereby underscoring its overall significance. Conducting a systematic and comprehensive literature search. Developing a meticulous search strategy is fundamental to the credibility of your SLR. This strategy must be transparent and reproducible. Start by identifying the key concepts and constructs related to your research questions. Translate these concepts into a comprehensive set of keywords and search terms. Include synonyms, alternative spellings, and related terms to ensure broad coverage. Consider using Boolean operators such as and, Oregon, not to combine your search terms effectively. For example, artificial intelligence or machine learning and education or learning, and student outcomes or academic achievement. Pilot testing your search string in a few key databases can help refine it and ensure it retrieves relevant studies without being overly broad or narrow. Using appropriate academic databases and other information sources is crucial for a comprehensive search. Select databases that are most relevant to your field of study. Multidisciplinary databases like Web of Science and Scopus are often essential. Subject-specific databases such as PubMed for medical research, ERIC for education, or PsycInfo for psychology should also be included. Do not limit your search to journal articles. Consider including conference proceedings, dissertations, theses, government reports, and grey literature if relevant to your topic and scope. Expanding your search sources helps to minimize publication bias. This bias occurs when studies with statistically significant results are more likely to be published than those with null or negative findings. Documenting your entire search process meticulously is a hallmark of a high-quality SLR. This documentation ensures transparency and allows other researchers to replicate your methodology. Keep a detailed record of the databases searched and the institutional platforms used, such as Ovid, ProQuest, EBSCOhost. Note the exact dates of your searches for each database. List the complete search strings used for every database, including any filters applied, such as language or publication dates. Record the total number of hits retrieved from each search. This detailed record will be essential for creating the Prisma flow diagram, which visually represents the study selection process. Using reference management software like EndNote, Zotero, or Mendeley from this stage can greatly simplify managing and deduplicating search results. After conducting the searches, the initial screening of studies begins. This is often a two-stage process. First, screen titles and abstracts of all retrieved records against your predefined inclusion and exclusion criteria. This initial pass helps to quickly eliminate irrelevant studies. In the second stage, retrieve the full texts of potentially relevant studies. These full texts are then assessed more thoroughly against the inclusion criteria. It is advisable to have at least 2 independent reviewers conduct the screening process to minimize bias. Any disagreements between reviewers should be resolved through discussion or by consulting a third reviewer. This rigorous screening ensures that only the most relevant studies are included in your SLR. Establishing a rigorous and transparent methodology for your SLR. The preferred reporting items for systematic reviews and meta-analyses or PRISMA guidelines are indispensable for conducting and reporting SLRs. A key component of PRISMA is the flow diagram. This diagram visually depicts the flow of information through the different phases of your review. It maps the number of records identified, included, and excluded at each stage. It also specifies the reasons for exclusions. The PRISMA flow diagram provides a clear and concise overview of your study selection process. This enhances the transparency and replicability of your SLR. Adhering to PRISMA demonstrates methodological rigor, which is highly valued by Q1 journals. Familiarize yourself with the latest PRISMA statements, such as PRISMA 2020, for current best practices. Detailing your inclusion and exclusion criteria is a critical aspect of the methodology section. These criteria define the boundaries of your review. They determine which studies will be included or excluded. Inclusion criteria might specify population characteristics such as age, gender, condition, intervention types, comparators, outcome measures, study designs such as randomized controlled trials or cohort studies, publication dates, and language. Exclusion criteria clarify why certain studies are not suitable. For example, studies might be excluded if they are opinion pieces, editorials, or not published in English if that is a criterion. These criteria must be established before the search begins. They should be applied consistently by all reviewers to ensure objectivity. The data extraction process must also be clearly described in your methodology. This involves systematically pulling relevant information from each included study. Develop a standardized data extraction form or spreadsheet. This form should capture key details such as authors, publication year, study objectives, study design, sample size, participant characteristics, intervention details, if applicable, outcome measures, and key findings. Piloting the data extraction form on a few studies can help refine it. Ensure it captures all necessary information for your analysis. Similar to the screening process, having 2 independent reviewers extract data can enhance reliability and accuracy. Any discrepancies should be resolved through consensus or third-party arbitration. Your methodology section should also provide an overview of the analytical approaches you plan to use. If your SLR includes quantitative studies with comparable outcome measures, you might conduct a meta-analysis. A meta-analysis statistically combines the results of multiple studies to produce a more precise estimate of the effect. If your studies are primarily qualitative or heterogeneous, thematic analysis or narrative synthesis might be more appropriate. Thematic analysis involves identifying, analyzing, and reporting patterns or themes within the data. Bibliometric analysis can be used to examine publication trends, author collaborations, and influential works within a field. Clearly justify your choice of analytical approach based on your research questions and the nature of the included studies. Section 5. Analyzing and synthesizing evidence, uncovering patterns and insights. Once data extraction is complete, the next step is to synthesize the evidence. The techniques for data synthesis will depend on the type of data collected and the nature of your research questions. For quantitative data, if a meta-analysis is feasible, you will calculate summary effect sizes and assess heterogeneity among studies using statistics like I2. If a meta-analysis is not appropriate due to study heterogeneity, a narrative synthesis can be employed. This involves summarizing and comparing findings across studies descriptively. For qualitative data, thematic synthesis, framework synthesis, or meta-ethnography are common approaches. These methods aim to identify common themes, concepts, or patterns across the qualitative studies included in your review. Using graphs, diagrams, and tables effectively is crucial for presenting synthesized information clearly and concisely. Tables can summarize the characteristics of included studies, for example, author, year, design, sample, and key findings. This is where you might present your top 10 studies or a summary of all included studies. For example, a table could list study identifiers, methodological quality scores, main outcomes, and effect sizes. Graphs, such as forest plots in a meta-analysis, can visually display the results of individual studies and the overall pooled effect. Bar charts or pie charts can illustrate the distribution of studies by year, country, or research design. Diagrams can map relationships between concepts or illustrate theoretical frameworks emerging from the review. Ensure a logical flow and provide clear justification for your analytical choices throughout the analysis section. Explain why you chose a particular synthesis method. If conducting a meta-analysis, detail the statistical models used, such as random effects or fixed effect model, and the software employed, like RevMan or R. If performing a thematic analysis, describe the steps taken to identify themes, such as coding procedures, and how themes were refined and defined. Transparency in your analytical process allows readers to assess the validity of your findings. Justify any decisions made during the analysis, such as how you handled missing data or dealt with studies of varying quality. This justification strengthens the credibility of your SLR. Artificial intelligence tools can assist in various stages of an SLR, including data analysis and visualization. For instance, natural language processing tools can help in screening large volumes of text, or assist in thematic analysis by identifying initial codes or patterns. Software with AI capabilities can aid in creating sophisticated data visualizations, such as network maps for bibliometric analysis or interactive dashboards for exploring findings. Some AI tools can also help in identifying emerging trends or clusters within the literature. However, it is crucial to use these tools critically. Always validate their outputs and clearly report which tools were used and for what purpose. Human oversight remains essential to ensure the accuracy and meaningfulness of the analysis. Section 6. Presenting SLR findings with clarity, precision, and objectivity. Structuring the findings section logically is essential for reader comprehension. Begin this section with a brief overview of the search results, reiterating the number of studies included in the final review. This often refers back to the Prisma flow diagram. Then present the characteristics of the included studies. This might involve describing the distribution of studies by publication year, geographical location, study design, or participant demographics. Use tables and figures to summarize this information efficiently. Following this overview, organize the presentation of your synthesized findings according to your research questions or the main themes that emerged from your analysis. Use clear subheadings to guide the reader through different aspects of the results. When presenting the key results from your analysis, strive for clarity and precision. Use unambiguous language and avoid jargon where possible. If you conducted a meta-analysis, report the pooled effect sizes, confidence intervals, and measures of heterogeneity, such as the I2 statistic. Explain what these statistical results mean in practical terms. If you performed a thematic analysis, present each theme clearly. Provide a definition for each theme and support it with illustrative quotes or examples from the included studies. Ensure that the presentation of findings directly addresses the research questions posed in your introduction. The goal is to provide a factual account of what the literature collectively reports on your topic. Maintain objectivity throughout the findings section. This section should focus solely on reporting the results of your SLR. Avoid interpreting the findings or discussing their implications at this stage. Interpretation and discussion are reserved for the subsequent discussion section. Present all relevant findings, including those that may be contradictory or unexpected. Do not selectively report only the findings that support a particular viewpoint. A balanced and objective presentation of results enhances the credibility and trustworthiness of your SLR. Readers should be able to see the evidence clearly before you guide them through its meaning and significance in the discussion. Using clear and concise language is paramount in the findings section. Avoid lengthy, convoluted sentences. Present data in a straightforward manner. When using tables and figures, ensure they are well labeled and easy to understand. Each table and figure should have a clear title and footnotes explaining any abbreviations or symbols used. Refer to tables and figures in the text, guiding the reader to them and highlighting the key information they convey. For example, Table 3 summarizes the key characteristics of the 25 included studies. Or as shown in Figure 2, the meta-analysis revealed a significant positive effect of X on Y. This careful presentation ensures your findings are accessible and impactful. Section 7. Interpreting results, the discussion section and its significance. The discussion section is where you interpret the findings presented in the previous section. This is your opportunity to explain what your results mean in the broader context of existing knowledge. Begin by clearly restating the main findings of your SLR, but this time, focus on their significance. Directly answer the research questions you posed at the beginning of your review. Explain how the collective evidence from the included studies addresses these questions. If your findings are complex or multifaceted, break them down and discuss each component systematically. The primary aim here is to move beyond simply reporting data to providing a thoughtful interpretation of its meaning and importance. A crucial part of the discussion involves comparing your findings with those of previous research and established theories. Highlight areas where your SLR confirms existing knowledge. This strengthens the evidence base for those particular findings. Equally important is to discuss any discrepancies or contradictions between your results and earlier work. Offer potential explanations for these differences. Perhaps methodological variations, different populations studied, or changes over time could account for divergent findings. Engaging critically with the existing literature demonstrates your deep understanding of the field. It also helps to position your SLR's contribution within the ongoing scholarly conversation. Discussing the implications of your results is a key function of this section. Consider the implications for theory, practice, and policy. For theory, how do your findings contribute to, extend, or challenge existing theoretical frameworks in your field? For practice, what are the tangible takeaways for practitioners, clinicians, educators, or other relevant professionals? Could your findings lead to changes in guidelines, interventions, or approaches? For policy, do your results suggest a need for new policies or amendments to existing ones? Clearly, articulating these implications demonstrates the real-world relevance and value of your SLR. Be specific and avoid making overly broad or unsupported claims. No study is perfect, and it is essential to acknowledge the limitations of your SLR. Transparency about limitations enhances the credibility of your work. Discuss potential sources of bias, such as publication bias if you couldn't include grey literature extensively. Mention limitations related to the scope of your review, such as restrictions on language or publication dates. If the included studies themselves had methodological weaknesses, acknowledge how these might have affected your overall findings. Critically evaluating your own review process shows scholarly maturity. Importantly, frame these limitations constructively. Suggest how future research might address them, thereby turning limitations into opportunities for further inquiry. Section 8. Looking forward, future research, actionable recommendations, and a strong conclusion. Identifying specific future research directions is a vital contribution of an SLR. Based on your findings and the limitations you identified, pinpoint gaps that still exist in the literature. Suggest concrete research questions or areas that warrant further investigation. For example, if your review found limited evidence on long-term outcomes, recommend longitudinal studies. If most studies were conducted in a specific geographical context, suggest research in other regions. Propose studies that could address methodological weaknesses observed in the current body of literature. These suggestions should be well grounded in your review's findings and provide a clear roadmap for other researchers. Vague suggestions are less helpful than specific, actionable ideas for new studies. Formulating practical and actionable recommendations is another important component, especially if your SLR has implications for practice or policy. These recommendations should flow logically from your discussion of the findings and their implications. Aim for recommendations that are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, or SMART where appropriate. For instance, instead of a general recommendation like improve training, suggest develop targeted professional development programs for teachers focusing on the ethical implementation of AI in classrooms to be piloted in the next academic year. Clearly indicate who the recommendations are for, such as educators, policymakers, or healthcare providers. This makes your SLR more impactful beyond academia. Your conclusion should effectively summarize the main contributions of your SLR. Briefly reiterate the primary purpose of your review and its key findings. Emphasize the most important insights and takeaways. Avoid introducing new information or arguments in the conclusion. The conclusion should provide a sense of closure, reinforcing the overall message of your paper. It should leave the reader with a clear understanding of what your SLR has added to the field. A strong concluding statement will underscore the significance of your work and its contribution to the scholarly discourse on the topic. It is the final impression your paper makes on the reader. Crafting a strong concluding statement requires you to synthesize the essence of your SLR into a concise and impactful message. This statement should resonate with the reader. It often reflects on the broader significance of the findings. It might also offer a final thought on the future of the research area. For example, this systematic literature review underscores the transformative potential of X in Y, while also highlighting the critical need for Z to ensure equitable and effective implementation. Future research must prioritize A and B to fully realize this potential. Such a statement provides a definitive end to your scholarly narrative, solidifying the importance and relevance of your review. Section 9. Ensuring academic integrity, mastering referencing, and the ethical use of AI tools. The importance of accurate and consistent referencing cannot be overstated in academic writing, particularly in an SLR. Proper citation acknowledges the work of other researchers. It allows readers to trace your sources and verify your information. It's also crucial for avoiding plagiarism. Familiarize yourself with the specific referencing style required by your target journal, such as APA, MLA, Vancouver, or Harvard. Most Q1 journals have strict guidelines. Pay meticulous attention to detail in formatting both in-text citations and the final reference list. Even minor inconsistencies can detract from the professionalism of your work and may raise concerns during peer review. This meticulousness reflects your overall scholarly rigor. Using reference management software is highly recommended for any research scholar, especially when dealing with the large number of sources typical in an SLR. Tools like EndNote, Zotero, Mendeley, or Papers can help you organize your references efficiently. They allow you to import citations directly from academic databases. They can also automatically format your in-text citations and bibliography in the required style. This not only saves a significant amount of time, but also greatly reduces the risk of errors in referencing. Many of these tools integrate with word processors, making the citation process seamless. Investing time in learning how to use such software effectively is a valuable skill for any researcher. The ethical use of artificial intelligence or AI tools in research and writing is an increasingly important consideration. AI tools can be valuable assistants. For example, AI-powered search algorithms in databases can improve literature discovery. Grammarly or similar AI writing assistants can help enhance clarity, grammar, and style. Some AI tools can assist in summarizing articles or identifying themes, but these should be used as starting points, not replacements for your critical analysis. It is unethical to present AI-generated text as your own original work. Always maintain intellectual control over your paper. Disclose the use of AI tools if journal guidelines require it, particularly if they played a significant role in data analysis or manuscript preparation. Transparency is key. Finally, avoiding plagiarism and ensuring the originality of your work are fundamental tenets of academic integrity. Plagiarism, whether intentional or unintentional, can have severe consequences for your academic career. Always paraphrase information from sources in your own words and cite the original source correctly. Use quotation marks for direct quotes and keep them brief and purposeful. Utilize plagiarism detection software such as Turnitin or Authenticate to check your manuscript before submission. This can help you identify any inadvertently unoriginal passages. Beyond avoiding plagiarism, strive for originality in your synthesis and interpretation of the literature. Your SLR should offer fresh insights and a unique contribution, not just a repackaging of existing information.